have you ever felt like you're sabotaging yourself, even though you know exactly what you should be doing? What's holding you back, even when you try your hardest to succeed? We all face moments where we know what we need to do, but somehow we don't do it. It's like there's an invisible force working against us. Procrastination, fear of failure, or maybe even perfectionism. The list goes on. But what if I told you that this isn't just a lack of willpower or discipline? What if it's something deeper? What if the reason you struggle with self-sabotage isn't a matter of trying harder, but something ingrained in your mindset? By the end of this video, you'll uncover the real reasons behind your self-sabotage and gain insights from the philosophy of Friedrich Nietzsche that will help you break free from this cycle. I'm Naim, and on this channel, we dive into powerful ideas that transform how we think, live, and approach challenges. Today, we'll explore a deep concept from Nietzsche that could change how you view your struggles and self-sabotage. Stick with me until the end of this video, because the last insight is something that could totally shift how you see your own limitations. Self-sabotage is often perceived as a failure of willpower, a simple lack of discipline. But according to Friedrich Nietzsche, self-sabotage runs much deeper than just not being able to do what we know we should. Nietzsche's philosophy offers a radical perspective that challenges the common understanding of self-sabotage, framing it as a reflection of our inner struggles and the conflict between our desires and our deeper instincts. Nietzsche introduced the concept of the will to power, which suggests that every individual has an inherent drive, not just to survive, but to expand and assert themselves in the world. However, this will to power doesn't always align with our conscious desires. Often, our deeper, unconscious drives, shaped by past experiences, trauma, and societal conditioning, conflict with our conscious goals, leading to self-sabotage. When we try to achieve something important, such as career success or personal growth, we might find ourselves procrastinating, making excuses, or undermining our efforts without even realizing it. Nietzsche would argue that this behavior isn't a mere lack of motivation, but the result of an inner conflict between our higher aspirations and our primal instincts. These primal instincts, often rooted in fear, insecurity, or past experiences, push us to avoid the discomfort of growth. As a result, we unknowingly sabotage our chances of success. Consider this. Many of us live with limiting beliefs formed early in life. These beliefs can be as simple as thinking we're not good enough, or as complex as believing that success will make us unlovable or distant from others. Nietzsche believed that these deep-rooted beliefs are tied to our instinctual fear of change. Our minds tend to avoid discomfort, even if that discomfort is necessary for growth. This fear of change creates a barrier that prevents us from fully embracing our potential, leading to self-sabotage. Let's break down some common behaviors that can serve as signs of self-sabotage. First, procrastination is a classic example. It feels easier in the moment to put things off rather than face the discomfort of starting or completing a task. But what's really happening beneath the surface is that the act of procrastination is a way to avoid confronting our deeper fears and insecurities. These insecurities might whisper to us, "What if you fail?" Or, "What if you're not enough?" Next, consider perfectionism. On the surface, perfectionism may seem like the opposite of self-sabotage. It can appear as if we're pushing ourselves to succeed. However, perfectionism often results in procrastination, as the fear of producing something imperfect leads to a delay in action. The more we strive for perfection, the more we reinforce the idea that nothing we do is ever good enough, which fuels the cycle of self-sabotage. Another common form of self-sabotage is the fear of success. This may sound counterintuitive, but some people are afraid of what success might bring. Whether it's the increased responsibility, the pressure to perform, or the fear of alienating others who don't share the same level of success. Nietzsche believed that people are often trapped by their own success because it forces them to confront new challenges and responsibilities. This fear can lead individuals to subconsciously undermine their progress to avoid stepping into the unknown. Finally, we can look at the concept of self-worth. Many individuals struggle with self-sabotage because they don't believe they deserve success or happiness. This feeling of unworthiness often stems from early childhood experiences or societal expectations that teach us to downplay our strengths and focus on our flaws. Nietzsche suggested that overcoming this sense of unworthiness involves transcending the limitations imposed by society and embracing our unique individuality. This means acknowledging that we are worthy of success, love, and fulfillment simply because we exist and are constantly evolving. Nietzsche's philosophy invites us to examine the root causes of our self-sabotage with radical honesty. It asks us to confront the beliefs, fears, and insecurities that lie beneath our conscious thoughts and take responsibility for transforming them. By understanding the underlying forces that drive self-sabotage, we can begin to dismantle these internal barriers and align our will to power with our conscious desires, thus unlocking our true potential. In the next section, we will dive into Nietzsche's concept of the will to power and how it plays a crucial role in overcoming self-sabotage. But for now, take a moment to reflect. What beliefs or fears might be holding you back? Are they truly yours, or are they conditioned by external factors? Recognizing these forces is the first step toward breaking free from the cycle of self-sabotage. Friedrich Nietzsche's concept of the will to power is one of the most fundamental and influential ideas in his philosophy. At its core, the will to power refers to an individual's fundamental drive to assert control over their environment, to grow, and to become the best version of themselves. However, understanding how this concept connects to self-sabotage requires us to look beyond the surface. The will to power isn't simply about dominating others or accumulating wealth and influence. It's about self-mastery and the realization of our true potential. Nietzsche saw this drive as an intrinsic part of human nature, one that pushes us to strive for greatness and transcend limitations. The problem arises when we fail to recognize the will to power within ourselves, or when we allow our inner conflicts to thwart this drive. One of the most profound aspects of the will to power is that it acknowledges that life is inherently challenging and that struggle is a necessary part of growth. Nietzsche argued that we must embrace the difficulties we face rather than shy away from them. This struggle, while often uncomfortable, is the very thing that shapes us and enables us to flourish. In fact, Nietzsche famously said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," which encapsulates the idea that adversity is essential for personal development. Now, when we consider self-sabotage in the light of Nietzsche's will to power, a crucial distinction arises. Many people avoid the discomfort that comes with growth because they fear failure, rejection, or the unknown. This avoidance, in turn, becomes an act of self-sabotage. It represents a denial of the will to power, the refusal to confront the challenges that could ultimately lead to greater strength and achievement. In the context of self-sabotage, the will to power teaches us to face adversity head-on and to not shy away from the discomfort of growth. But how does this work practically? The first step is awareness. We must recognize that the discomfort we feel when pursuing our goals is not an indication of danger, but a sign that we are moving in the right direction. This discomfort is a natural byproduct of pushing ourselves beyond our limits and entering unfamiliar territory. Nietzsche also emphasized the importance of embracing our individuality. The will to power is not about conforming to societal expectations or seeking approval from others. It is about becoming who we truly are, beyond the roles and identities imposed on us. Self-sabotage often arises when we feel constrained by external pressures, whether from family, society, or our own self-imposed standards. When we fail to honor our authentic selves and try to meet others' expectations, we indirectly sabotage our own progress. Another important aspect of Nietzsche's will to power is the idea of Übermensch, or the overman. The overman represents the ideal individual who has transcended conventional morality and societal norms to create their own values and meaning. Nietzsche saw the overman as someone who has fully embraced the will to power and has mastered themselves. In a way, self-sabotage is the opposite of the overman's journey, where the overman actively shapes their destiny. Self-sabotage is about allowing external circumstances, fear, or limiting beliefs to shape us instead. So how do we tap into our own will to power and avoid the trap of self-sabotage? It starts with taking ownership of our lives and decisions. We must actively choose to confront our fears and not let them dictate our actions. Rather than avoiding challenges or staying in our comfort zones, we should lean into the struggles and view them as opportunities to grow. Nietzsche's philosophy suggests that true power comes not from avoiding challenges, but from mastering them and emerging stronger on the other side. In practice, this means setting goals that align with our authentic desires, not what we think we should want or what others expect from us. It's about trusting ourselves to take bold, intentional steps toward becoming the person we are meant to be. The will to power is not a call for reckless ambition or an ego-driven pursuit of dominance. It's a call for self-mastery, for overcoming internal limitations, and for embracing the discomfort of growth as part of our evolution. By understanding and applying Nietzsche's will to power, we can begin to recognize the moments when we are sabotaging ourselves and instead redirect that energy toward positive action. When we align our goals with our true selves, free from the constraints of fear and external expectations, we tap into a powerful force that propels us toward our highest potential. As we move forward, we will explore more practical steps that you can take to break the cycle of self-sabotage and harness the power of your will to create the life you truly desire. But for now, reflect on this. Are you actively embracing the discomfort of growth, or are you letting fear and self-doubt hold you back? Breaking the cycle of self-sabotage is not a one-time fix, but a continuous process that requires intentional effort, self-awareness, and a shift in mindset. Nietzsche's philosophy, combined with practical strategies, provides a pathway to overcome these self-destructive patterns and unlock your true potential. But the first step in this journey is understanding how we sabotage ourselves and why we do it. As we've discussed, self-sabotage often arises from deep-seated fears, limiting beliefs, and a lack of alignment between our desires and our deeper, more primal instincts. The key to breaking this cycle is to recognize and confront the inner conflict that fuels self-sabotage. Instead of running from discomfort or avoiding difficult tasks, we must embrace them as opportunities for growth. One of the most effective strategies to break the cycle of self-sabotage is to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness helps us become aware of our thoughts and emotions without judgment, allowing us to identify when we're engaging in self-sabotaging behaviors. By being present in the moment, we can notice when we start to procrastinate, overthink, or avoid taking action. Once we recognize these patterns, we can consciously choose to break them and take the necessary steps to move forward. Nietzsche believed that we must confront ourselves honestly and face the uncomfortable truths about who we are and what we fear. This means being brutally honest with ourselves about the reasons we avoid certain actions or behaviors. Often, we sabotage ourselves because we are afraid of failure or rejection, but these fears are often based on false beliefs and assumptions. By questioning these fears and examining their validity, we can start to dismantle them and free ourselves from the constraints they place on us. Another essential strategy is setting clear, actionable goals that align with our deepest values. When we have a clear sense of purpose and direction, we are less likely to engage in self-sabotage. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, the individual who creates their own values and meaning, reminds us that we have the power to define our goals and pursue them with intention. By creating goals that reflect who we truly are, not what society or others expect of us, we align our will to power with our actions. To break the cycle of self-sabotage, it is also crucial to recognize the role of self-compassion. Many of us are quick to criticize ourselves when we slip into self-sabotaging behaviors, but this only perpetuates the cycle. Instead, we need to practice kindness and understanding toward ourselves. When we make mistakes or face setbacks, it's important to acknowledge them without judgment and use them as learning opportunities. This approach shifts our mindset from one of failure to one of growth, helping us move forward with renewed motivation. Another powerful tool in breaking the cycle of self-sabotage is creating a support system that encourages personal growth. Surrounding ourselves with people who believe in us and support our goals is essential for overcoming the negative self-talk and doubts that often lead to self-sabotage. Nietzsche believed that the struggle for self-mastery is not a solitary endeavor, but requires community and connection. Having people who challenge and inspire us can help us stay accountable to our goals and encourage us to push past our limits. Additionally, it's important to celebrate small victories along the way. Often we get so focused on the big picture that we forget to acknowledge the progress we've made. Nietzsche's philosophy emphasizes the importance of embracing the journey rather than fixating solely on the end result. By recognizing and celebrating the steps we take toward our goals, we build momentum and reinforce our belief in our own abilities. Breaking the cycle of self-sabotage also requires us to challenge our limiting beliefs. These beliefs, often formed early in life, serve as barriers to our growth and potential. By identifying and questioning these beliefs, we can begin to reshape them and create new, empowering ones. Nietzsche's idea of becoming who we truly are involves shedding the limitations imposed by others and by our own fears. We must ask ourselves, what beliefs are holding me back? Are they truly my beliefs, or have they been conditioned by external influences? Lastly, the act of taking consistent, deliberate action is crucial. Even when we feel afraid or uncertain, taking small steps toward our goals is the most effective way to break the cycle of self-sabotage. Nietzsche argued that the will to power is not just an abstract concept, but a practical force that can be realized through our daily actions. Every time we choose to act in alignment with our values and goals, we reinforce our will to power and move closer to becoming the person we are meant to be. In conclusion, breaking the cycle of self-sabotage requires a combination of self-awareness, mindfulness, intentional action, and self-compassion. Nietzsche's philosophy offers powerful insights into why we sabotage ourselves and how we can overcome these patterns by embracing discomfort, confronting our fears, and creating our own path in life. It's a process that requires patience and commitment, but by following these strategies, we can begin to transcend self-sabotage and unlock our full potential. One of the greatest sources of self-sabotage is the fear of failure. This fear can paralyze us, keeping us from taking risks, pursuing our dreams, or even attempting to reach our full potential. Nietzsche's philosophy, however, offers a powerful reframe on failure. Rather than viewing failure as something to be avoided at all costs, Nietzsche challenges us to see failure as an essential part of growth and self-actualization. Nietzsche famously said, "What does not kill me makes me stronger." This statement encapsulates his perspective on failure. For Nietzsche, failure is not a tragic outcome. It's a vital experience that provides the necessary lessons to evolve and grow. Failure, in Nietzsche's view, is a process, one that is integral to the development of a strong, resilient individual. The fear of failure, therefore, is not the fear of something that will ruin us, but the fear of the unknown lessons and strengths that failure has the potential to teach us. We live in a society that often glorifies success while demonizing failure. From a young age, we are conditioned to fear failure and avoid it at all costs. Whether it's in school, our careers, or our personal lives, failure is often seen as a reflection of our inadequacy. This belief leads many to sabotage themselves, avoiding the risk of failure by staying within the safety of their comfort zones. But as Nietzsche argues, he who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze long enough into an abyss, the abyss will gaze back into you. In this quote, Nietzsche warns us about the dangers of avoiding challenges. The more we resist failure, the more we allow it to control us, and eventually it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. The key to overcoming the fear of failure is to radically shift how we view failure itself. Rather than seeing it as an endpoint, we must embrace it as a necessary stepping stone on the path to success. When we redefine failure as an opportunity to learn, rather than something to be feared, we remove its power over us. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, Overman, represents an individual who has transcended conventional views of success and failure. The Übermensch does not fear failure. Instead, they embrace the lessons it offers, using it as fuel for further growth and self-mastery. In practical terms, overcoming the fear of failure involves reframing our mindset. Instead of asking ourselves, "What if I fail?" we should be asking, "What if I succeed? And what will I learn from this experience, regardless of the outcome?" This shift in perspective helps us approach challenges with a sense of curiosity rather than anxiety. It allows us to take risks, to step outside of our comfort zones, and to engage with life in a fuller, more authentic way. Another key to overcoming the fear of failure is the ability to detach our self-worth from our achievements. Often, self-sabotage stems from the belief that our value is determined by our success or failure. If we fail, we think we are failures. If we succeed, we feel worthy. Nietzsche rejected this mindset, encouraging us to cultivate a sense of self-worth that is independent of external outcomes. The Übermensch is not defined by their successes or failures, but by their ability to live authentically and create their own meaning in life. When we free ourselves from the need for external validation, we become more resilient in the face of failure, as we no longer tie our self-esteem to the results of our efforts. It's also important to recognize that the fear of failure often arises from the pressure to be perfect. Perfectionism can be a major driver of self-sabotage, as it prevents us from taking action unless we believe we can do something flawlessly. This fear of imperfection keeps us stuck, preventing us from even attempting new things. Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to embrace imperfection as part of the human experience. In fact, the Übermensch is not concerned with achieving perfection, but with continually striving for growth, understanding, and self-mastery. The pursuit of perfection is often a form of self-sabotage in itself because it sets an unattainable standard that paralyzes us. Instead, we must focus on progress, not perfection. Moreover, failure often leads to deeper self-discovery. When we fail, we are forced to confront our vulnerabilities, our fears, and our limitations. Nietzsche believed that it is through this confrontation with our own weaknesses that we develop strength. Instead of avoiding failure, we must learn to use it as an opportunity to uncover more about ourselves, our values, our resilience, and our ability to adapt. This process of self-discovery ultimately leads to the flourishing of the individual, as we learn to embrace all aspects of ourselves, including our flaws and imperfections. To truly overcome the fear of failure, we must change our relationship with it. Rather than seeing failure as something to be avoided, we must learn to accept it as a necessary and even valuable part of life. Nietzsche's idea of eternal recurrence, the concept that we must live as if we would want to relive our life eternally, urges us to embrace every experience, including failure, as something we would choose to experience again. By adopting this mindset, we free ourselves from the fear of failure and empower ourselves to take bold actions that lead to growth, success, and self-mastery. In conclusion, the fear of failure is one of the most common sources of self-sabotage, but by embracing Nietzsche's perspective on failure, we can transform this fear into a powerful tool for personal growth. When we stop seeing failure as a reflection of our inadequacy and start viewing it as a stepping stone towards self-mastery, we break free from the cycle of self-sabotage and open ourselves to the possibilities that lie ahead. When it comes to self-sabotage, we often think about it in terms of internal struggles, our fears, limiting beliefs, or lack of motivation. However, Friedrich Nietzsche believed that our environment plays a crucial role in shaping who we are and can significantly influence our ability to thrive or to sabotage ourselves. Understanding the impact of our surroundings on self-sabotage is essential if we wish to break free from these cycles and begin to live with intention. Nietzsche's philosophy is centered around the idea that we must be true to ourselves, regardless of societal expectations or pressures. He believed that much of human suffering stems from the way we conform to external demands, whether they come from family, friends, society, or culture. Our environment often imposes limitations on us, shaping how we view ourselves and what we believe we are capable of achieving. This influence can either empower us to grow or keep us locked in a cycle of self-sabotage. Consider the ways in which society tends to define success. From a young age, we are taught to follow specific paths. Get good grades, go to a prestigious college, land a high-paying job, and so on. These societal norms create a blueprint for success that may not align with our personal values, desires, or potential. Nietzsche argued that we must reject the external impositions of society and create our own values. When we follow societal expectations blindly, we may end up pursuing goals that don't resonate with our true selves, leading to dissatisfaction and self-sabotage. We may feel unfulfilled, questioning whether our achievements are truly our own or simply the result of conforming to an external blueprint. The pressure to conform doesn't just come from society. It also often arises from our close relationships. Family members, friends, and colleagues may have expectations for us, whether explicitly stated or implied, that influence our choices and behaviors. These external pressures can be a significant source of self-sabotage, particularly when we try to meet the expectations of others at the cost of our own desires. Nietzsche believed that true freedom comes when we detach from these external expectations and create our own path, free from the need to please others or live up to their standards. However, Nietzsche also acknowledged that while we must resist the influence of others, we are not meant to isolate ourselves entirely. In fact, he emphasized the importance of community, albeit one that challenges us to grow and evolve. He believed that our environment should encourage us to embrace our individuality, not suppress it. In a supportive, challenging environment, we can break free from self-sabotage by surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us to be our best selves and who push us to confront our limitations. A key aspect of breaking free from self-sabotage is recognizing that our environment, including the people we interact with and the media we consume, can either reinforce or challenge our limiting beliefs. For example, if we surround ourselves with individuals who are constantly negative or who reinforce our doubts, we are more likely to adopt their mindset and sabotage our own progress. Conversely, when we engage with people who believe in our potential, encourage us to take risks and challenge us to think differently, we are more likely to step outside of our comfort zones and pursue our goals with confidence. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch, Overman, speaks to this very point. The Overman is someone who transcends the limitations imposed by both society and their environment, creating their own path and embracing challenges with courage. By surrounding ourselves with individuals and influences that encourage growth and self-expression, we can begin to break free from the constraints of our environment and align ourselves with our true desires. One of the most powerful ways to change our environment is by intentionally curating the relationships and experiences we expose ourselves to. This might mean distancing ourselves from toxic individuals or environments that reinforce negative patterns of thought and behavior. It may also involve seeking out communities or mentors who inspire us to push beyond our limits and embrace the discomfort of growth. Nietzsche advocated for the creation of a life that is rich with meaning and aligned with our authentic selves. In order to do this, we must carefully choose the influences that shape our world and allow ourselves to be challenged and supported in ways that lead to self-mastery. Additionally, the physical spaces we inhabit can also impact our mindset and productivity. Nietzsche believed that our environment should reflect and support our personal journey of growth. A cluttered, disorganized space can contribute to feelings of overwhelm and self-sabotage, while a clean, intentional environment can help us focus and align our actions with our goals. By creating a physical space that fosters clarity and inspiration, we can eliminate external distractions that contribute to our self-sabotage. Ultimately, breaking free from the influence of a limiting environment requires conscious effort. We must recognize the ways in which our surroundings, both physical and social, contribute to our self-sabotage and actively choose to surround ourselves with influences that empower us to grow. This is where Nietzsche's philosophy becomes especially powerful. By rejecting external influences that conflict with our true selves, we give ourselves the freedom to create a life that is truly our own. As we continue exploring how to break the cycle of self-sabotage, it's important to remember that our environment is not something we passively accept, it's something we actively shape. By choosing the right influences and creating the right space, we can begin to align our external world with our internal drive for self-mastery and growth. Limiting beliefs are one of the most insidious forces behind self-sabotage. These beliefs, often deeply ingrained in our subconscious, are the stories we tell ourselves about what we can and cannot achieve. They are the internal narratives that hold us back, convincing us that we're not worthy, capable, or deserving of success. But Nietzsche's philosophy offers a powerful framework for overcoming these limiting beliefs and reclaiming our power to create the lives we desire. At the heart of Nietzsche's philosophy is the idea that we must transcend conventional morality and societal norms in order to become who we truly are. He believed that we should not let others define us, nor should we accept limiting beliefs about ourselves that are handed down to us by society. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, Overman, represents the person who has overcome all societal constraints and created their own values. This includes the rejection of self-limiting beliefs that restrict our potential and prevent us from achieving greatness. Limiting beliefs often begin in childhood, shaped by our early experiences and the messages we receive from our families, schools, and society. These beliefs are reinforced over time through repeated exposure to the same narratives. For example, someone might grow up believing they aren't good enough because of negative feedback from parents or peers. Or they might adopt the belief that they are not capable of success because of past failures or setbacks. Nietzsche would argue that these beliefs are simply products of societal conditioning and should not define who we are or what we are capable of achieving. One of the most powerful tools for overcoming limiting beliefs is to become aware of them. Often these beliefs operate beneath the surface, influencing our actions without our conscious awareness. It's only by becoming mindful of these beliefs that we can begin to challenge them. Nietzsche's idea of self-overcoming, the process of constantly evolving and transcending our previous limitations, can be applied here. Self-overcoming involves recognizing when we are being held back by outdated beliefs and choosing to transcend them in favor of a new, more empowering perspective. To begin the process of overcoming limiting beliefs, it's important to first identify the specific beliefs that are holding us back. These might include thoughts like, "I'm not good enough," "I'll never succeed," or "I don't deserve to be happy." Once we've identified these beliefs, we can start to challenge them. Nietzsche's idea of creating our own values is a crucial part of this process. Instead of accepting the limiting beliefs imposed on us by others, we can create new beliefs that align with our true desires and values. This involves asking ourselves, what would I believe if I weren't afraid? Or what would I do if I believed I could succeed? Another key strategy for overcoming limiting beliefs is to reframe our past experiences. Many of our limiting beliefs are based on past failures or setbacks. Nietzsche's famous quote, "What does not kill me makes me stronger," reflects the idea that adversity is a tool for growth, not a reason for self-doubt. Instead of viewing past failures as evidence of our inadequacy, we can choose to see them as opportunities for learning and growth. Each setback is a chance to become stronger, wiser, and more resilient. One practical way to reframe past experiences is through the practice of journaling. By writing down our thoughts, feelings, and experiences, we can gain clarity on the limiting beliefs that are holding us back. We can then challenge these beliefs by asking ourselves questions like, what evidence do I have that this belief is true? Or, how can I reframe this belief in a more empowering way? Through this process, we begin to rewrite the story we tell ourselves and shift our mindset toward one of possibility and growth. In addition to reframing past experiences, it's essential to surround ourselves with people who challenge and support us in overcoming our limiting beliefs. Nietzsche believed that the people we associate with play a crucial role in shaping our identity. If we surround ourselves with individuals who reinforce our limiting beliefs, we are less likely to transcend them. On the other hand, being around people who encourage us to think differently, take risks, and believe in our potential can help us break free from self-imposed limitations. Furthermore, Nietzsche's concept of the will to power provides an empowering framework for overcoming limiting beliefs. The will to power is the inherent drive to assert ourselves, grow, and shape our own destiny. By embracing the will to power, we choose to take control of our lives and reject any beliefs that stand in the way of our growth. This is not about seeking external validation or trying to prove ourselves to others. It's about internal mastery, learning to trust ourselves and our abilities, and aligning our actions with our authentic desires. Overcoming limiting beliefs also requires cultivating a mindset of self-compassion. Often we are our harshest critics, punishing ourselves for perceived flaws or mistakes. But Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to embrace our imperfections and accept ourselves as we are. By practicing self-compassion, we can release the shame and guilt associated with limiting beliefs and allow ourselves to grow and evolve. In conclusion, overcoming limiting beliefs is essential for breaking the cycle of self-sabotage and unlocking our true potential. By challenging the beliefs that hold us back, reframing our past experiences, and surrounding ourselves with supportive influences, we can transcend the limitations imposed by society and create a life that is truly our own. Nietzsche's philosophy teaches us that we have the power to create our own values and shape our own destiny. It's time to embrace that power and break free from the self-imposed limitations that have been holding us back. Often, we view self-sabotage as something inherently negative, something that holds us back from achieving our goals and living the life we desire. But what if we could reframe self-sabotage and see it not as a failure, but as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery? Nietzsche's philosophy offers a powerful lens through which we can view self-sabotage as a crucial part of our evolution, pushing us toward a more authentic and empowered version of ourselves. Nietzsche famously stated, "Become who you are." This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of his philosophy. The process of becoming is central to the human experience. We are constantly in a state of flux, and our growth comes from facing the challenges and difficulties that life throws at us. Nietzsche believed that we must embrace these challenges, including the moments of self-sabotage, as opportunities to learn more about ourselves and push beyond our current limitations. When we self-sabotage, it's often a sign that we are resisting some aspect of change. Self-sabotage can manifest as procrastination, self-doubt, perfectionism, or even choosing behaviors that we know are harmful to our well-being. But instead of seeing these behaviors as evidence of failure, Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to view them as signals from our inner selves, urging us to confront areas of our lives where we need to grow. Self-sabotage often arises from our fear of the unknown or from the discomfort that comes with change. When we set ambitious goals or take steps toward a better life, we are inevitably faced with discomfort. The fear of stepping into unfamiliar territory or the anxiety that comes with taking risks can trigger self-sabotage as a way of avoiding that discomfort. Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, Overman, the individual who creates their own values and lives authentically, teaches us that growth comes from embracing discomfort and moving beyond the safety of our comfort zones. The Übermensch does not run from the challenges and discomforts of life. Rather, they face them head-on, knowing that these experiences are the very things that will help them grow and become the person they are meant to be. Reframing self-sabotage as an opportunity for growth requires us to shift our mindset. Instead of seeing our failures as evidence of inadequacy, we can choose to see them as lessons. Each time we encounter self-sabotaging behavior, we have the chance to ask ourselves, what is this trying to teach me? What belief or fear am I avoiding? By approaching self-sabotage with curiosity rather than judgment, we can begin to uncover the underlying beliefs and fears that drive our behavior. For example, procrastination is often a form of self-sabotage. It may seem like we're avoiding work because we lack motivation, but on a deeper level, procrastination often stems from fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, or fear of not being perfect. Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to confront this fear head-on and take action anyway. The key is to recognize that procrastination is not a sign of laziness or incompetence, but a symptom of an internal conflict. Once we identify the underlying fear or belief driving our procrastination, we can begin to challenge it and take small steps toward overcoming it. Similarly, perfectionism is another form of self-sabotage that stems from the fear of making mistakes or not being good enough. Nietzsche's philosophy teaches us that perfection is an illusion. The Übermensch is not concerned with achieving perfection, but with constantly striving for self-mastery and personal growth. Embracing imperfection is essential for overcoming self-sabotage because it allows us to take risks, make mistakes, and learn from them, rather than staying paralyzed by the fear of not being perfect. Self-sabotage can also stem from a lack of self-worth. When we don't believe we deserve success or happiness, we may unconsciously choose behaviors that reinforce our feelings of inadequacy. Nietzsche's idea of the will to power teaches us that we have the ability to create our own values and define our worth. We must stop measuring our value based on external achievements or the approval of others, and instead recognize our intrinsic worth as human beings. By acknowledging our own power and potential, we can begin to break free from the patterns of self-sabotage that stem from feelings of unworthiness. Ultimately, reframing self-sabotage as an opportunity for growth requires a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing self-sabotage as something to be ashamed of or defeated, we can choose to see it as a signal that there is something deeper within us that needs to be addressed. Self-sabotage, when viewed through the lens of Nietzsche's philosophy, becomes a tool for self-discovery and self-mastery. It is an invitation to confront our fears, challenge our limiting beliefs, and embrace the discomfort that comes with personal growth. In practical terms, breaking free from self-sabotage involves taking deliberate action. It means facing our fears, taking risks, and allowing ourselves to make mistakes along the way. It means adopting a mindset of growth, where setbacks and failures are not seen as obstacles, but as opportunities for learning and evolution. Nietzsche's idea of the Übermensch represents the highest potential of human growth, the ability to overcome all internal and external obstacles and create a life that is truly our own. By embracing self-sabotage as part of the journey, we can move closer to becoming the person we are meant to be. Breaking free from self-sabotage isn't just about understanding why we do it. It's about taking action and changing our mindset. Nietzsche's philosophy offers key insights into overcoming self-sabotage by emphasizing the importance of consistent action, embracing imperfection, and cultivating self-compassion. These elements work together to create a powerful framework for personal growth and overcoming internal limitations. One of the first steps in breaking the cycle of self-sabotage is consistent, deliberate action. Nietzsche's will to power teaches us that the drive to shape our environment and ourselves is innate. However, this drive only manifests through action. The challenge we face is not in our desire to succeed, but in our fear of failure and the discomfort of growth. Self-sabotage often arises when we hesitate to act due to these fears. Nietzsche's philosophy suggests that we must confront our fears head-on. The key is to take consistent, small steps toward our goals, even when we don't feel ready. Every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. When we take deliberate action, we gain momentum, which in turn reduces the power of self-doubt and fear. However, consistent action alone isn't enough. Perfectionism, a common form of self-sabotage, can stop us from acting altogether. We often hesitate to move forward because we believe our efforts must be flawless. Nietzsche rejected the pursuit of perfection because it is an unrealistic and limiting goal. The Übermensch, the ideal figure in Nietzsche's philosophy, is not concerned with perfection but with embracing life fully, including its flaws and imperfections. By focusing on progress instead of perfection, we allow ourselves to take risks, make mistakes, and grow through the process. Imperfection is not something to fear, but an essential part of the journey. It's through imperfection that we learn, adapt, and develop the resilience necessary to overcome obstacles. Alongside consistent action and embracing imperfection, self-compassion is critical for breaking the cycle of self-sabotage. Many of us struggle with harsh self-criticism, especially when we fail or fall short of our expectations. Nietzsche's idea of self-overcoming involves recognizing our imperfections and not being defined by them. When we treat ourselves with kindness, we create space for growth. Self-compassion allows us to acknowledge our mistakes without harsh judgment and to use them as opportunities to learn rather than sources of shame. Nietzsche's philosophy encourages us to live authentically without the need for external validation. By embracing our flaws and showing ourselves compassion, we can overcome self-sabotage and move forward with greater confidence. When we practice self-compassion, we start to understand that failure is not an end but a stepping stone to success. It's not about achieving perfection, but about the continuous process of becoming who we are meant to be. Each step toward overcoming self-sabotage, no matter how imperfect, contributes to our growth. By forgiving ourselves, accepting our flaws, and embracing discomfort, we allow ourselves to break free from the patterns that hold us back. In conclusion, overcoming self-sabotage requires a combination of consistent action, embracing imperfection, and cultivating self-compassion. Nietzsche's philosophy offers powerful tools for breaking the cycle of self-doubt and fear. Through the will to power, we learn to take action despite discomfort and fear. By embracing imperfection, we free ourselves from the paralyzing effects of perfectionism and allow room for growth. Finally, by practicing self-compassion, we give ourselves permission to learn from mistakes without self-judgment. This journey isn't about achieving perfection, but about embracing the process of becoming who we truly are, embracing the struggles and imperfections that come with it. So take the first step toward overcoming self-sabotage today. Reflect on your goals, take action, forgive yourself for past failures, and allow yourself to grow through every challenge. Nietzsche's call to become who you are is an invitation to embrace both your strengths and your flaws, and in doing so, create a life that is aligned with your deepest values and desires. Thank you for watching, and if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on personal growth and transformation. Remember, you are on the journey of becoming who you are meant to be.